So I had been storm chasing all day. Thankfully that day, yes, we had severe weather, was not as bad as we thought, but I worked all morning, storm chased all day, got home, finally took a shower, read this response, and he said, "Hey, I'm not going to follow you anymore. This is America. This we speak American. Go back to Mexico where you speak Mexican." And he went on to say, we have so many problems with immigrants, and I won't stand for this. I'll watch another channel or something along those lines. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. So instead of ignoring this time, I was like, nope, here we go. And so I wrote back and I was kind about it, but I just said, in America, we speak English. In Mexico, they speak Spanish. And by the way, our founding language is not English here. We had Native Americans, so they were the first ones here. And I said, maybe you should travel and help expand your horizons and realize that we're all human. Let's be kind. Don't be Richard. And they were all wearing Don't Be a Richard t-shirt. My dad's name is Rich.
Welcome to Perfectly Imperfect with Beautiful Disaster. These are the stories of our tribe. They are important, powerful, and will undoubtedly change you.
Welcome to Perfectly Imperfect with Beautiful Disaster. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We do not take it lightly that each and every one of you listeners and viewers choose to invest your time with us because we know that time is one of our most precious assets. Today's episode is a topic that we all face every single day. This issue does not discriminate. It doesn't matter if you are rich or poor, black or white, yellow or green, sick or healthy, famous or just a regular person. And today we have the honor of speaking with Emily Sutton, who's a certified broadcast meteorologist at KFOR, probably K4, Oklahoma, about the topic of internet trolls. Now you might be wondering, what on earth do internet trolls and a meteorologist have to do with each other? So let's jump right in. And Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so honored and humbled to be a part of this. And I think what you're doing is so fantastic. And we need to just work on spreading kindness anywhere we can, but especially on the internet these days.
Agreed wholeheartedly. So tell us, how does meteorology and internet trolls come together?
Right. Well, just for a frame of reference here, you're in beautiful California, I believe.
Yes, we are. We are in Ventura, California.
Yes, and I'm sure you have listeners everywhere. So for the other listeners who are in, let's say, a different climate.
Not California.
California, maybe not paradise. We have some wild weather, and those places, the meteorologists are very important. So here, weather is not only important for daily life, but it can be life-threatening at times. Even just a couple of days ago, we had severe wind damage and a tornado in the major OKC metro area. So it's a big deal here.
Yes.
Also, winter weather. We get everything. I come from Chicago, more winter weather gal, but here we get all four seasons, almost every single type of disaster. There was even a tropical storm that came up and an eye formed over Oklahoma in 2007. So we even can get tropical weather here.
Wow.
It's great.
Yes.
That being said, the meteorologists have a big role in the local news as well as in people's daily lives.
Right.
So that reason, people feel very strongly about it, especially when you have any sort of fear. So if you're scared of the weather, you're going to have strong emotions, and there could be a lot of feedback from that. So for that reason, yes, I can be picked on because weather is imperfect. Right. It's an science. We're still studying it, but no, we are not always correct, even though we always strive to be the best we can, and our forecasts sometimes bust, and that changes people's lives. I mean, they'll cancel schools, people go to work to take care of the kids. So anyways, that's why. But also I'm a female, so then there's that added layer, because instead of listening to my forecast, you're staring at my outfit, or if my hair place, or if I say something weird, or if I start talking really high pitched, then that's irritating. Or I'm out of control, or anyways.
All the things. Whatever they can find, they will.
Yes.
And I love that you explained it that way, because it's so easy to relate to that. Here you are being of service, using every bit of knowledge, research, science, and data that you possibly can. And you're wide open for all the critics and all the Judge Judys of the world out there. And it's so relatable because it's just like us. Everything we do is up for debate.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, rarely do we say any of this to each other. So when you have a screen in between you, it's amazing what people will say.
Yeah.
And even you reaching out and them realizing you are human, that can change things. But one of the best parts of my job is being able to interact with the viewers. But because of that, they feel like they know you. And that makes you do well and keep a career in this cutthroat industry, is that people like their people that they watch nonstop. And especially when you're scared of something like severe weather, you can trust that person.
Yes.
So because of that, they feel like they can tell you these things that they probably shouldn't, because you actually don't know each other.
Right.
And so, but that I've been finding that happens to everyone now. And it may even be a family member that attacks you publicly on social media, or some stranger chimes in, or someone you barely know. So it's the same thing. And I find that people all have dealt with it, but they may not have labeled it or even realized that that's called a troll.
Right. So
or we may be doing it too, and that's the problem.
It is. Beautiful Disasters, a large, successful brand, and we interact on social media all the time. And a lot of the times we can just pull out our empathy and not react. But no matter what, words hurt. Words are hurtful. They make you feel a certain way. And something's got to give with being like so trigger happy. Like I love in your TED Talk how you so elegantly have described what it is, what it does, how it feels, and more importantly, real tangible tips for what to do about it. So just share your knowledge with us.
Yes. So in the TED Talk, which I encourage you to watch, but I went ahead and did some research, first of all, about how it all came about. And trolling, I thought, pertained to the trolls under the bridge, the evil trolls under the bridge that ask you a riddle before you can cross.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It has to do with fishing, trolling. So these are people that are fishing for reaction. And normally, what's helped me the most is just trying to picture where these people are coming from, even though they piss you off so bad or whatever emotion.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they come from their own broken place.
Yes.
And even though we think we're reacting with something righteous or helping even someone else, we end up having the opposite effect.
Right.
So I have to especially be cautious having this large platform, that if I do respond to someone, I may then cause other people to respond, and they mean well supporting me, but it's going to hurt that other person, which takes you back full circle. So
right.
Yeah, I came up with a list, and I also stressed in the TED Talk, by trolls, we pertain to someone that's trying to press your buttons, bother you, get a negative response, or just get some sort of response out of you. This is not the same as hate speech or bullying, and that should never be tolerated by anyone.
Right.
And should be reported.
Absolutely.
And I also want to give a disclaimer that I'm not an expert. It's just I've had probably about 10 years of experience of dealing with trolls. So it's just a live and learn kind of thing.
Yes.
And I'm not perfect. I have my days where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I totally didn't follow my own advice.
Right.
But every person's different, and every reaction is going to be different. So you have to figure it out for yourself.
Yes.
But my list, I'll kind of go through. I came up with about 7 things to do. The number one, when in doubt, wait.
Yeah, that is so hard, Emily.
I know, but what you can do is type it out. Just don't send it. Just write everything you'd want to say, or call your friend and vent.
Yes.
Whatever you can, and that helps, because for me, I've even learned that the hard way from work. You get this email from your boss, and you're like, and it's totally snarky, and then so wait. A lot of times, everyone has such a short fuse now and such a short attention span that if you let it go, there's going to be something else anyways. It's going to pass.
You're so right. You're so right. It's incredibly difficult in that moment. Yes. And I think that is what is contributing to so much of what's going on is it's instant. It's instant. We don't have the moments of pause that we might used to have. So yes, the power of the tongue or the power of the pause in the finger.
Yes, exactly. And so then the next one, I kind of went into the next one, which is ignore. That's just straight up ignore them. Remember, a lot of times these people are just wanting attention. Yeah. That's negative attention.
Yes.
So if they're really going after something, you can almost tell the trolls that are just really trying to get under your skin.
Yep.
Especially if they know the known topic that bothers you and they bring it up. So I have had some of those people in the past. So I just ignore them. And I think that gets them even more because they just want the attention. It's like an annoying little brother or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Not saying something sometimes is saying something, but you're saying it to yourself. You're saying, I am not going to add fuel to this fire. And sometimes it'll still nag at you. Like, should I say something? Should I not say something? But it kind of is empowering. It's kind of empowering to be the one that gets to decide that this conversation is over.
Yeah.
Or it's not even going to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of the more mature way to go, and it's hard, especially if you're a talker like me.
Yeah, also equally hard, yes.
Okay, and then the next one is if you do decide to respond, this is after you've let it simmer and kind of think about it, you can kill them with kindness or with humor. So that's always a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So let me see. I'm trying to think of some of these new examples off the top of my head. For a lot of my clothes, like to use Rent the Runway because I can just have different outfits all the time. It's perfect for my job, but some of the stuff's very fashion forward, and in Oklahoma, that just doesn't fly.
Right.
Some people like it, but I wore this one outfit, and I thought it was cute. It just had cold shoulder, and then it was all white, and it went up mock turtleneck kind of thing.
Yep.
But some people called me a flying nun. Some people said I looked like, what else did they say? I looked like some Star Trek character.
Oh my gosh.
They were not all of them were bad. Some of them were playful, but especially some of the older people are very upset by anything very different.
Right.
So they wrote in, and I told this one lady, I said, don't worry about it. I'm just I rented it. You won't see it again. So you can just play around with them. Yes. Say, have a blessed day. Have a great day. You won't see this again.
Right. And you know what I have found too helps with that? GIFs. So so we now have this world of like, no matter what, this GIF is going to make you laugh. Like if you say something snarky and I send you a kitty cat blowing you a kiss, I love GIFs. They are so good. Like the emoji just doesn't even cut it anymore because now we have GIFs.
Yeah, and it's exploded. I mean, that's even more popular since I gave my talk.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
Yes, GIFs are good.
Awesome.
Yes.
So humor or kindness, that's a great way. And then the next way is sometimes you have to educate. So if someone says something blatantly wrong, and again, my TED Talk was before fake news came out.
Right.
So if something's just completely wrong, sometimes you can educate, and that can open the door for conversation, for proper conversation about it. For example, this was after the TED Talk. Unfortunately, I have examples all the time now. But there was a famous chief meteorologist here that retired a couple years ago. He's a living legend here in Oklahoma.
Right.
And now he lives on Twitter. And unfortunately, I don't think he's using his powers for good.
Right.
He's being very political, which, in media, we try and stay out of that. I guess it's do what you want when you retire.
Yes.
But anyways, he put something out about how the world is cooling. We're actually having global cooling and gave this bogus website. And I just saw that and I was like, I know there's people that will follow him to the ends of the earth. Right. So I just thought I have to correct this.
Yes.
So I replied to him and I said, respectfully, I disagree. This was when we were having the very cold there, the record cold in the Midwest and the Southern Plains.
Right.
And so I said, I respectfully disagree. Here's why. And I gave a scientific explanation. It's actually because of the warming of the waters near the Arctic. And you think of a rubber band, the jet stream is a rubber band up there, and it's become a loosened rubber band because of the warming of the waters. And so it's allowing the cold air to pour in. That's essentially the science behind it.
Right.
So I shared that. And it was amazing what happened. Yes, there were a couple of people that attacked me that said, how dare you? He saved my life when I was 5 or something like that. No, I was like, that has nothing to do with this. But, but I had several different people in the scientific community chime in because there's lots of meteorologists here in Oklahoma and everybody was writing about it. And so it actually started a really good conversation.
Right.
So some of the trolls, that can help educate them. Some of them, you may not change their mind in the end, but at least you put it out there. It may not educate the troll, but it could educate other people.
Yes, yes. I love how you just said that, because oftentimes your response isn't actually for the person you're conversing with. It's for the other people that aren't engaged in the conversation, but they're actually considering what's being said in a thread. So I love that the educating with kindness, you weren't being rude, like you're full of shit. You basically just said, respectfully, I disagree. And I think it's so important for other people to see those healthy conversations happening. So you can, yes, it is a platform for debate. It is. We can't shut down everybody who disagrees with us. So I love that you said that, because oftentimes it really might not be for the person who's trying to poke at you, but the way we respond is being seen by other people.
Yes. And I would say I'd like to stick in my wheelhouse and stuff that I know. So science I really stick to, or if you ask me maybe about 90s clothes or something like that.
Or Rent the Runway.
Something like that, I'll respond. But if it's, there are boundaries too. I've just learned when it comes to politics or something like that, I can spew out whatever my opinion is, and it's probably not going to change that person's mind.
Yes.
But maybe on a certain topic, you can educate in some sort of way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. An example comes to mind for Beautiful Disaster. We get a lot of comments about sizing. So somebody will say, your extra large is not really a size 10, 12. It's like a size 6. And so it's important for us as a company to respond to that, because we want people to see our responses. It's important for us to educate anybody who might be reading that thread and post our size chart and post pictures of models that are that size wearing that. So it is important to respond so that other people see how you respond as well.
Yes. And then the next thing is stand your ground. So sometimes there are times where you have to just pick your battles, essentially. So whatever means the most to you, if there's something that you are really firm about and someone attacks you about it, and you say, you know what? No, I disagree. This is how I feel, and that's it. And sometimes that's just what it is. You just have to stand your ground. But again, boundaries, because then they may try and pull you in and troll you even more. And you said your statement. That's it.
Well, and we all have a magic wand. It's called block and delete.
Yes. Actually, that's my next one. Good job.
Perfect lead in.
So the next one is block or report. Now, personal stance on that. I have a lot of people, and my husband included, he's like, why don't you block this guy? And for me, I feel like that's giving them too much satisfaction.
Right.
I will block if they're saying something vulgar or they're mean to other people or bully. I won't tolerate those big things. Yeah. But if it's something towards me and they're just trying to push my buttons, no, I'll leave them on there. I just won't respond to them.
Right.
And I like to keep an eye on some of them too, because when you block them, I mean, sometimes we have to worry about stalkers in our business. It just feels, if I block them, I don't know what they're saying about me.
Sure.
So there's a safety standpoint there.
Right. It's better to know and not care than not know and be worried.
Yes. And there's the ways you can mute them.
Right.
There's different options of what you want to do. But when in doubt, if you are nervous about anything, definitely report them or contact authorities. I mean, if anyone who has that intuition, there's something to that. So
Yes, definitely.
that's topic. But and then my final topic is empathize and learn. So I had one example in my TED Talk. This guy wrote to me and he didn't spell right at all, which I don't understand because every social media outlet has spell check now. But he just said, "You are stupid weather person, you stink," or something like that. And I said, "Have a blessed day." And he wrote something again, I believe, and then people started chiming in, and they meant well,
Right.
but they standing up for me, but they kind of started bullying him,
Right.
and this guy kept fighting back, which I'm always surprised when they fight back, and you'll get the occasional pesky troll,
Yeah.
But he ended up telling me, let's see, I got a note from somebody else, an email from somebody else saying, "Hey, I know this guy. He is special needs and he's very troubled and he's been going through depression and he's wanted to kill himself in the past. So please, I beg you, take that post down." And I said, he's the one that posted it, so he has to take it down. But anyways, I ended up reaching out and saying, "Hey, guys, let's pull back on this. Let's be kind. Let's promote kindness."
Yeah.
So my whole point is, you never know. I had another lady that after I got engaged, she sent in a handwritten letter and said, "Hey, congratulations, but I can tell he's not the one for you. I can tell you're very sad and don't seem happy about this." So, and I just thought, who does that? Who takes the time to write a handwritten note? That's a lot of effort these days. And I just thought, you know what? This lady, who knows? She could be coming from a divorce, or she comes from an abusive relationship, and she's just projecting her things onto me.
Yes.
So it helps me a lot when I try to put myself in other people's shoes, even though you're really upset at the time. And then what's so great about that is it can apply to everything.
Yes.
And you realize, okay, this person's having a bad day, or this person may be going through this. And that's why if you respond with even a little bit of kindness, I know Sarah Silverman, the comedian, she had an example. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't, but I love her.
Okay. If you Google, I can't think of the specifics right now, but some guy wrote something really crude or mean to her, and she wrote back and she wrote, "I see through you. I know you're hurt." And he back and said, "I am having a really tough time. I want to kill myself."
Oh, yes. I do remember hearing about this.
Back and forth. And then she ended up getting him treatment.
Yes.
And it turned out great. So
she paid for his apartment for like a year or something.
Okay, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, she did.
So it's amazing how we can use this for good.
Yeah.
And the tricky part is just knowing whether you're helping someone else in a cause or if you're actually being a troll to someone else, even if they started it. Yeah. So I guess the way to monitor that is just knowing what kind of energy are you putting out. Is it positive? If not, if it's more of a negative energy, then maybe we don't need to be putting that out there.
Maybe we need to go back to step 1 and 2 of like, wait, pause, do nothing.
Yes. And I had one quick story to share, a really interesting instance that happened after this TED Talk. And again, like I told you, sometimes I don't follow my own advice.
Right.
And this guy named Richard trolled me. Rewind, we'll go back to May 20th, which is a significant date here in Oklahoma. That's when the big Moore EF5 tornado happened in 2013. Well, this year on May 20th, we had a high risk. It's a very rare issuance of a high risk day. That means there's a big chance of possibly big tornadoes.
Right.
And so we take it very seriously, and it was a big part of the state was under it. So everyone was on edge that day. And so I remembered that May 31st of 2013, we had about a dozen people that died in a flood because of a language barrier. They Spanish speaking. And so they thought, I have to go underground. Well, they went inside a flood drain and drowned, and then they died and they drowned.
Oh my God.
thinking of that whole instance, I thought, okay, thinking on the fly, I'm going to do this in Spanish, even though I don't speak Spanish, but we have several coworkers here that do.
Yeah.
So I did the forecast and I did tornado safety in English, and then they translated with me in a Facebook Live.
Right.
So it had never been done before, but I thought, okay, if we can even get that word out to somebody, it's going to help.
Yes.
And so most of the responses were very positive on there, like, this is a great idea, I'm going to share. But I was bracing for it because we are in we're in a red state here, and I have to tread delicately on how I do this. We're in a red state, and so unfortunately that has become tied in with anyone who speaks Spanish and immigrants and all the hate, and
Right.
it doesn't always tie in right. Most Oklahomans, though, they were fantastic, but there's one guy,
Richard.
I thought, yes. So I had been storm chasing all day. Thankfully that day, yes, we had severe weather, was not as bad as we thought, but I worked all morning, storm chased all day, got home, finally took a shower, read this response, and he said, hey, I'm not going to follow you anymore. This is America. We speak American. Go
Oh.
back to Mexico where you speak Mexican. And he went on to say, we have so many problems with immigrants, and I won't stand for this. I'll watch another channel or something along those lines.
Right.
And I was like, oh boy, here we go. So instead of ignoring this time, I was like, nope.
Oopsie.
Here we go. And so I wrote back, and I was kind about it, but I just said, in America, we speak English. In Mexico, they speak Spanish. And by the way, our founding language is not English here. We had Native Americans, so they were the first ones here.
Right.
And I said, maybe you should travel and help expand your horizons and realize that we're all human. Let's be kind.
Yes.
Don't be Richard.
Ah!
Richard. Oh my gosh.
I love
Somebody took a screenshot of that, and it was shared 8,000 times by this random guy saying, look at the local meteorologist standing up to this guy.
Yeah.
And the love that I received from the Hispanic community was huge. They just felt like someone was caring about them
Yes.
and standing up against hate.
Yes.
So I was offered free Mexican food for life at San Marcos restaurant.
Well-
I visited them. They were all wearing Don't Be a Richard t-shirts.
Oh my gosh.
Someone sent me a Don't Be a Richard shirt. I was on the top of Hola magazine, the cover of Hola magazine.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
thing, and it's all because I stood up against hate. So there
Yeah.
are some instances where it can be very powerful. Now, I will say the downside of this is poor Richard.
Or anyone named Richard.
My dad's name is Rich. That's the irony. And my dad bought a shirt. He's proud. But anyways, this guy, people all wrote back saying we can't stand for this, but then they went on his page and they started bullying him, and they even found his address and posted it publicly.
Oh
and
no.
see, and that's where I'm like, guys, and I try to put something like, I appreciate the support, and this is wonderful that you are against hate, but guys, let's not fight back with more hate.
That's exactly right.
So it's all figuring out. We're all figuring out the madness of social media, and it's not going away.
No.
So it's a matter of what we can do. It can be a powerful tool. You can stand up for what is right, but if you do it in a way where you educate and you're kind to others.
Yes, yes, so much yes, because the negative ones in the room are always the loudest.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are conditioned to where oftentimes they get the most attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the change in perspective of focusing on the good. Social media does so much good. Like, it is absolutely revolutionary. It connects humans that wouldn't otherwise connect. It can deliver safety information. You can mark yourself as safe. I mean, there is so much good that's going on in social media. And the trolls, they're just loud. You know, they're just louder than most. And at Beautiful Disaster, one of our designs is, it says, you don't know my story. So we are big advocates of empathy first. And I love what you said about put yourself in their shoes, which requires you to pause, So that's good. Put yourself in their shoes. We don't know their story. We don't know what they've gone through. Like you said, we don't know what kind of, upbringing they had or what kind of marriage they may have experienced. And if we just lead with kindness, as hard as it can be sometimes, because you want to tell everybody not to be a Richard. If we just lead with empathy, so much good can come from it for sure. So I love all of your tips. I'm definitely going to use some of them more than I have. I am perfectly imperfect, and there will be times when I don't use them when I should.
Same.
And, that's part of being human and learning from our mistakes, right? You got to make mistakes to learn from them. So, you also have talked about challenging people to something. Mm-hmm. So I would love for you to share that challenge with our audience and with me personally, so that we can try it too. So what's your challenge?
My challenge at the end of the TED Talk is just, I want you to go out and spread kindness on social media and use the hashtag be kind. So anytime you can bring joy to someone, and that's in person, great. If you can call them, go ahead and call somebody, tell them something sweet, or go online, and it could be a stranger, it could be a friend, but say something nice to them. Give them a comment. Go to a business, write a positive review. That's what I'm trying to do. Businesses I like because they on that. But try to be kind. And the hardest thing is turning the other cheek. So it's those really not so nice people, the grumpy people online, the people you try and avoid. That's the real challenge if you can be into that.
It is. And it makes me think, when's the last time you opened up your Facebook page or you opened up your Instagram and you had a DM of just a random person saying something nice to you? It doesn't happen. It happens in response to some things you post, but I'm talking out of the blue. So I love this challenge. I am going to personally find 10 people today and find something wonderful to say about them. And I'm going to post it right on their wall. And they're going to be like, where did that come from?
Yep.
And where that comes from is your heart. So I love that challenge. And everybody in the Beautiful Disaster Tribe, I challenge you to do the same thing that Emily has just suggested. You guys, random acts of kindness, and we can distribute those online, in social media, in person, over the phone, and
email, whatever.
Yeah.
Do at least one for an entire month, and then things become a habit after 21.
Right.
So.
Right. No, I love that. If we could just little by little sprinkle some more kindness and empathy and begin to learn some of those 7 tips for not letting trolls piss us off quite as much. It gives us a little more control. And I think with that comes ease. There's a little more ease in how you feel if you know that you have the right tools to respond. So thank you so much, Emily, for sharing these tips with us. It's something we encounter daily, but we don't talk enough about how to manage it and the tools necessary to, be better than these trolls. So thank you so much for your time with us today. It has been an incredible honor. And if I was in Oklahoma, I would watch you on the news.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Emily R. Sutton. So
yes, tell us, do you have a YouTube? What do they do to find your TED Talk? Give us all the things.
Oh, TED Talk, just look on YouTube, put Emily Sutton TED
Talk. Okay, where was it at? What city?
It was in TEDxOU. So It was in Oklahoma at OU, University of Oklahoma.
Got it. That'll help narrow it down.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear from you. And I hope this goes well. It's still the wild, wild west out in social media. So hopefully, I believe in positivity.
Yeah.
I think what we want to share the cute dog stories or the happy veterans coming home, or we like hearing that. So just share positivity online, and hopefully we can change this negative culture.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emily. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope it's great weather in Oklahoma today. Excellent. We'll see what happens tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.